Four nations facing off. For what? For friend and foe. For teammates turned rivals. I could actually recite the whole commercial. That's how many times I've seen it. And it's tonight. Welcome back to another episode of Pucks and At. We're going to give a very brief recap of the past week for the Penguins. There is not much to discuss because, well, there's no NHL hockey until next Saturday, February 22nd, and I am handling it appropriately and normally. Tonight, the Four Nations Face-Off tournament kicks off. We're going to talk about that. We'll give you our predictions. We'll get into some stat lines that we think we might see from the Penguins represented in the tournament. We'll talk about all that, much more, and that.
Hello, welcome back. Excited to have you here today. It feels strange not to have, any hockey for the past, 4 days, 3 days?
Yeah.
I don't even know at this point. It's all blurring together.
I need another hit.
Well, guys,
I don't know what to do with myself. Someone asked me, someone texted me and said, Hannah, what are you going to do without hockey for 2 weeks? I said, well, I guess I'll come to terms with my own mortality or something. I mean,
nothing else to do.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing else to do. I've run my dishwasher like 4 times.
I started
relevant about that. I've just noticed.
I've been cleaning my house, which I don't want anybody to think I don't regularly clean my house.
No, but I've been paying special attention. Like I'll be scrubbing my countertops and bleaching my sink.
I bleached my bathtub the other day. Like that's how.
Yeah.
That's how serious this is getting. But
I'm like about to dust my baseboards just for something to do, just to feel something.
Clean the ceilings.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have a ceiling fan, but if I did, I would clean it.
Yeah.
For something to do. I vacuumed twice. That's how
I have also vacuumed. I do have to vacuum pretty regularly because I have a really, really, really sheddy dog. But
I have no dog, and honestly, I'm gonna say this on air. I've left my house like twice in the past month, so I don't really track a lot of dirt in and out. But I mean, there's nothing to do other than vacuum. I'm watching TV shows that I would never care about. Please, something happen. We need a blockbuster trade. Elliot Friedman was teasing us, and where are the trades, Elliot?
Yeah. What's anything interesting you're watching?
No. No. I'm watching Pop Culture Jeopardy, and I'm really getting into it and trying to give my answers. I finally got around to watching the 2020 Paramount Plus miniseries for The Stand. I have thoughts. This is a book club, but I'll share them later. No.
Yeah, I've been watching like old shows. Like this is a perfect opportunity to watch new shows, but I've just been watching some of my old favorites. Like I used to love Destination Truth. That was like Josh Gates's like first show before like all the new ones on Discovery. And it's so much better than the new ones. But I've been watching that. I rewatched like a bunch of Mr. Robot. Great show.
Oh, sure.
I haven't seen that. So yeah, I wish that I was watching new shows, but I'm.
Oh,
what can I say? I'm a creature of habit.
Beat Bobby Flay.
Oh yeah, I mean you can't go wrong there. I've been watching Wild Card Kitchen too.
I love
that show.
Oh, that one is so good.
It is so good. They get so into it too. Like it's I
get into it too. I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, I what was that? I was watching one a couple weeks ago where I forget what the dish was, but basically like the wild card was that he couldn't use dairy, and it was an eggs Benedict, I think. Or something, and he couldn't use dairy, and he was like, well, I'm out.
So yeah,
it's like I'm done.
Oh my god. I love those types of shows where there's like a mystery ingredient and they're thrown into it and they have to figure it out on the spot. Great. Because then I start to think, I'm like, well, what would I do? Of course, I usually don't come up with anything half as creative as they do because I'm not a professional chef.
No, I hate cooking. I wish I enjoyed it, but
I love cooking. I'm not very good at baking. One time I did oh boy. My mother will tell a story about one time I tried to bake brownies for the chess club. I was president of the chess club in high school, by the way. Just some
Nice.
Hannah lore. We're gonna drop that because there's nothing else to do. I There was a meeting and I was gonna bake brownies and it was gonna be great. Um, and we had this really weird pan that they just didn't really account for on, the directions. I was like Betty Crocker. I was not making them from scratch or anything. Yeah, I basically burnt a hole in that pan. There was like radioactive nuclear waste in my oven. We had to throw the pan out. Like, that's how bad it was. Obviously, the brownies were not consumed. I went to the store and I brought, you know, store bought chocolate chip cookies like a chump. Everyone asked where the brownies were. I told them the story and said they were welcome to eat it, but it would probably give them superpowers or at least heartburn.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a similar story
Oh,
in
I can't
college
wait.
with cooking because I'm a decent baker. I can't cook worth crap,
So we
but
can put our skills together and we'll be half a decent competent in the kitchen. How's
yeah,
that?
exactly. Kind of like the podcast here. We're
I
putting
love it.
our smarts together, brains together. But yeah, so in college, sorry, this is the last thing, then we'll actually get to some hockey talk. I know we've been
Will
spending
we?
a lot
I
of time
mean,
on it,
I'm
but
having
maybe.
fun.
Yeah, this is a good time. But so in college, I had been wanting to invite people over for dinner like forever. Like it was just I was waiting for it. I like tried this new thing. We had this bottle of like spiced rum that wasn't
Ooh.
used like at all, just sitting on the fridge. And there was one day like when I was experimenting cooking myself and I made some chicken with like a rum glaze.
Mm-hmm.
And and I really liked it. I was like, this is so good. I want to make it for everybody. And so me not knowing anything about cooking, I invite everybody over. I'm making this dish, and my only complaint about this rum glaze was that it wasn't thick enough. So my genius brain
Oh
decides to
no.
put flour in the frying pan.
No, Kelsey.
So I put flour in the pan with the rum, and it creates like this. It was literally just goo. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't flaky. It wasn't like I should have put cornstarch in it or something. I decided on flour. It was goo. It was all over the chicken. It was probably the most disgusting thing I've ever eaten. And literally I had like guests at my house like waiting to eat this food. So I had to like improvise and I made everybody like mac and cheese.
Yeah, that'll do it. Listen,
Like
it's
Kraft mac
college.
and
It's
cheese.
college, right? I mean, mac and
Yeah,
cheese.
luckily it was college. Everybody had a good laugh about it and we drank about it afterwards. So
Yeah.
it's all good. We drank the rum that was used
Oh
for.
yeah, I mean,
But
well, that's a good
don't
one.
put flour in a frying pan, guys. Not unless you
Yeah.
want goo.
That's why
But
we all know that's why you tune in to Bucks and Nat Weekly. You want to
yeah.
hear what to put and what not to put in your frying pan.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Wildcard Kitchen, check it out.
I love it's so good.
My whole kitchen's a wild card. Anyway, so yeah, weekend review. Shifting over back to hockey, if we can even like call that far. So obviously the big story heading in the only two games that have occurred since we last met with you guys was the weekend back-to-back against the Rangers and Flyers on Friday and Saturday. And you know, all things considered with the circumstances, the Penguins did pretty well for themselves. They had no Sidney Crosby. They had no Evgeny Malkin. You know, and Saturday
No
they
Brian
had no
Rust.
Brian Rust. Yeah.
Yeah.
Saturday they had no Brian Rust. They were very, very shorthanded. And you know what? Friday's game against the Rangers wasn't always pretty, but no shots in the third period. But I'll tell you what, that's probably the most inspired effort of the season I've seen from them. There was just a lot of heart in that game.
Yeah, can I be completely honest with you, Kelsey?
Go for it.
Friday was the most fun I've had watching the Pittsburgh Penguins. Like the most enjoyable in a long, long time. Um, I enjoyed it. I mean, they all just played with heart. Kevin Hayes looked great. Scored on Saturday, didn't he? That's trending up, baby.
Woo.
I yeah, I just really enjoyed it. I mean, this is gonna make me sound bad. I'm looking forward to seeing these whack lines that we get when Sid and Gino officially retire. I mean, you got Ricard Raquel first line center. You got, Bavillier and Raquel and Rust, and that's a line.
Hey, they did pretty.
Yeah, but like
They did pretty well for themselves in that game.
And it
Not
was entertaining,
sustainable.
Kelsey. It
Yeah.
was so entertaining. It was like, yeah, I didn't catch much of the game on Saturday because the Golden Knights were finally remembering how to play hockey.
Woo!
I would like to add that my mother prayed. She prays for them now.
Oh, well,
She
I'm
wakes up
glad.
in the morning and she prays that the Golden Knights don't suck. That's how bad it was. But things are good now. Things are good now.
Prayers answered, Mama Cacrell.
Yeah, so it's funny. My mom, she's like very against praying for sports teams. Like when I was a kid, I would like ask her to pray for the Steelers. She was like, "Listen, I just don't think that that's what God would want." And then she watched like one Golden Knights game. She was reading all of my articles, and she said, or when they won, she texted me, "Thank God they won. You were writing some really negative things." I was not that negative. They were simply not winning, and I was writing that they were not winning.
I know the feeling.
Like, and it wasn't even like they were losing badly. They were still playing defensive hockey. They were still playing their system. They were just getting bad bounces and weren't getting the saves, and
Yeah.
very similar to the Penguins, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, and honestly, I mean, a lot of the bounces that you saw go the Penguins' way on Friday just didn't go their way on Saturday.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things Saturday. I mean, jumping back to Friday for a second, I mean, they outplayed the Rangers for most of this game.
That's
Rangers,
not hard to do.
obviously-
Rangers are
True.
kind of pathetic, Kelsey. Can I say that? Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah,
The
go
Rangers
for
are kind
it.
of pathetic.
Yeah, their power play isn't with JT Miller added to the
Yeah, their
fold,
power
but the
play is
rest
back.
of the team, I can't say the same. But yeah, I mean, other than that last 20 where they didn't register a shot against the Rangers, they were the better team. They played harder. They played like they wanted it more, and they got it. They
Yeah.
also got another outstanding performance from Alex Nedeljkovic, which always helps.
Oh yeah, Nedeljkovic has really been on it lately. We've been talking about that for a couple weeks now. He's really been on it. What does he have? A 936 since
yeah, I think so. I don't know if that was after the game or going into that game, but yeah,
I don't know.
it's
Either
right
way,
up there.
he's got a high save percentage. Yeah, can I sidebar here about the Rangers?
Go for it.
All that talent, Kelsey. All that talent. They've got Adam Fox. They've got Igor Shesterkin. They've got Artemi Panarin. I mean, Zibanejad and Kreider have kind of both fallen off a cliff this year. Kreider has, 3 assists in 56 games or something?
I still have 3 assists, I believe.
It might be 4 assists.
Maybe.
But yeah, I mean, all this talent. And Alexis Lafreniere, where did he go? He signed an extension. Where did he go? He's gone. Like,
took the money and ran.
Yeah, I mean that's what I would do. Oh, take the money and run. Wow, I'm really tired.
It's all good.
This is not the musical episode. That's later.
Yeah, we'll sing later, guys.
Yeah, it's baffling to me. Just everything. I mean, I knew that they were overperforming last year but they're not this bad.
Yeah.
Or they shouldn't be. Maybe they are, but they shouldn't be. And
yeah. I'm kind of honestly, I mean, I would argue that they've been outplaying themselves for the past couple seasons. I mean, I'm not saying that they're
Oh
bad
no,
team,
they absolutely
but
have.
you know
I'm
what?
100% with you there. But
I think their 5-on-5 weaknesses are finally being exposed now that they're getting older.
and because last year their power play was so good, their penalty kill was so good. Those 5-on-5 weaknesses that were glaring weren't as evident because they were able to make up for it in the special teams, and they were always able to win the special teams battles. And when they weren't, that's when the troubles, really smacked you in the face. But it's just interesting that I mean Panarin is still having a great season. I think we all knew that Trocheck contract was going to look bad eventually, but he suffered a pretty steep decline between last season and this season. They just shouldn't be this bad still, even though, like you said, they have been outplaying themselves for a couple seasons now. They shouldn't be this bad.
No.
I'm not complaining. I think it's funny, but
yeah, and you gotta wonder too. I mean, they not only have some of their young players not panned out, or at least aren't playing up to expectations like Lafreniere. This is an aging roster. This isn't a young roster anymore either.
no,
So
yeah,
it's going to be really interesting to see what kind of direction this franchise takes if they don't make the playoffs this season, which is looking more and more likely.
Don't say anything, Kelsey. Don't jinx it.
I mean, I've been saying that I think they're gonna make it.
But, yeah, and don't change your tune because
maybe I'll keep jinxing them by saying that. But it really makes this conditional first round pick that the Penguins are getting more interesting, I think, because if the Rangers do fall into that bottom 13 spot, I think something that a lot of people are missing is that they have a choice to defer that to 2026 if they want to. And if I'm the Rangers, I'm really thinking about that for a second because 2026 draft is deep. We've talked about this a lot. And if they feel like they can't really, there's not really much to be done about their roster until they get more of a youth injection akin to the Pens and akin to the Capitals, akin to these other teams that are trying to execute a similar thing. If I'm the Rangers and I'm in the bottom 13 this season, I'm really thinking about where I want that pick. I don't know. It's a tough call.
No. I completely agree with you there. I'm kind of, because I think this would be the funniest. I hope that they totally, they're a little delusional and, maybe they get that 13th and they say, yeah, you know what? We'll just pick 13th and we're going to be better next year. And then they win the lottery and they have to give up their pick. And I just think that would be funny.
That would be the best. Yeah.
Because I don't have many positive feelings towards the Rangers. This is not a shock to anyone who knows me. I'm a hater. That's how I watch hockey, Kelsey. When you can't cheer for a team, you just got to hate a lot of teams. And I hate a lot of teams.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the way to go. And to be honest though, that's I think that's completely valid sentiment anyway with, not being high on this team's future because it's not, they're going to have some decisions to make. And especially you mentioned with Kreider and Zibanejad and just how steeply they've declined this season.
And Zibanejad, I don't know about Kreider, but Zibanejad, no movement clause. JT Miller now, no movement clause. All of their aging stars are stuck.
Yep. And maybe they can pull Jacob Trouba and force them out of there, but
yeah, I'm sure they can, but I don't think anyone is as stupid as Pat Verbeek and the Anaheim Ducks.
Yeah, but maybe Pat Verbeek and the Anaheim Ducks will
yeah, they might because they're stupid.
Never know.
That rebuild is a failure. Let's talk about that. I want to talk about failed rebuilds.
Yeah.
This is why people who understand hockey are so cautious about the word, full rebuild. Because look at Anaheim. They've been awful forever. And what do they have to show for it? Nothing. They've got, a 6th overall pick, or maybe he was the 9th, in Jamie Drysdale that they turned into Cutter Gauthier, which I do like. I like Cutter's game. They've got the 2nd overall pick in Leo Carlsson, who, is this a sophomore slump? It's a sophomore slump, all right.
Yeah, I still think things are looking up for him, though. I'm not ready to nail it in on him yet.
I'm higher on Leo Carlsson than most, I think. I'm not 2nd overall in that draft class when there was Adam Fantilli and Mishkov, and
Yeah, yeah, you can definitely judge the pick there. Still think he's going to be a
You've
solid
got
player,
Mason
but
McTavish, who Greg Cronin calls a good third liner, by the way. That's pathetic. Mason
yeah,
McTavish might be like the most skilled player on that roster.
yeah, yeah, and we'll talk about this a little bit later too. There was some interesting developments with Anaheim scouts in the last couple days, as in yesterday. But it will be interesting to see what they decide to do with some of these guys that are still younger on the roster, but may not be at this point a part of their projected window, because who knows
Yeah.
when that window is at this
I
point,
mean,
you
I think
know.
we all know who we're thinking of here. The guy that Anaheim is like showing so much love to on social media, and Greg Cronin is singing his praises.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, writing's on the wall.
Yeah.
Where's he going? I think it'd be funny to see him in Carolina. I think that'd be funny
Yeah.
to see him in a Rod Brindamore's team. I
Yeah,
think it'd be
just to
funny to see
completely
him in
bottom out.
Philadelphia. Come on, imagine him and Tortorella having to deal with each other every day.
Oh, yeah. Just in case you aren't up to speed, that we're talking about Trevor Zegras here.
You're talking about Trevor Zegras? No, I'm kidding.
But yeah, we'll get to that in a little bit, because there
I
were
mean,
some.
we don't need to. I don't think that
Yeah.
he's worth any of what Washington has in their pipeline.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, it's just still something. I think there's a few other players in the mix, possibly too. If you're looking at Anaheim's roster, because again, it's just interesting. What is their window at this point? You know,
Listen,
it's.
I'm not high on them. I'm really not. I'm not high on their future. I love Lucas Dostal. I think he is
Yeah.
fantastic. I think he's
Oh, yeah.
going to be a top 5, 6 goaltender for a long time. I'm not as high on Leo Carlson as most are. I'm pretty high on Mason McTavish, although the team is doing their damnedest to ruin his development. I mean, they're really trying. I like Olin Zellweger. I'm not very high on Trevor Zegras at all. I'm not low on Cutter Gauthier. Although that might just be the Flyers hater in me talking, and I just when you look in the West and you see the offensive, just the juggernauts of the West that are there now and will be for a while, like the Dallas Stars, they're one of those teams that they're good now and they'll probably be good in 4 or 5 years just because of all that young talent they have with Logan Stankoven and Leon Bichelle, Maverick Bourque, so on and so forth. You look at San Jose. Oh my lord, San Jose is going to be great in a couple of years. They've got Celebrini and Smith and Askarov and Quentin Musty and Thomas Bordelot and Sam Dickinson and more great prospects that I'm blanking on. That's how good it is in San Jose. San Jose, they're
Yeah.
struggling now, but they're going to be good.
Yeah, they're
Chicago
setting
should be
themselves
good.
up.
I mean, you've got all their younger guys coming up. You've got Landon Slaggert. Okay, have you watched Chicago? Have you seen
Little
Landon
bit.
Slaggert? Have you seen Frank
No.
Nazar? I am
Yeah.
so bullishly high on
Yeah.
Frank Nazar.
I think they're going to
Oh
be
my lord.
solid
He's going to be
players.
a faster Mark Stone. He is so smart with his stick. He is such a pest. So high on him. Then look at Anaheim.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe they'll be a playoff team.
Yeah.
You look at that roster and think that team's going to win a Stanley Cup in the next 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. San Jose, and it's interesting too, because I think there's kind of almost a direct contradiction there, right? You have San Jose, who has masterfully kind of gone about their rebuild.
Well, I'll tell
And
you
then,
why. It's because Mike Greer is smart.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
He got a
And
first-round pick from Kyle Granlund and Cody Ceci.
that shouldn't have happened, but here we are. But that just goes to show, and this is true for full rebuilds. This is true for rebuilds on the fly, which, I mean, we'll see what happens with the Penguins rebuild on the fly in a year or so. But, it is all about asset management, people.
Yeah.
It is all about scouting. It's all about asset management. It's all about development. It's all about drafting the right players. And Anaheim just hasn't done that.
No,
San Jose
no, they have
has.
not.
So that's a interesting little thing going on over in the Pacific Division with those two teams. And I guess we can just talk about this briefly too while we're on the subject. Just to tell you about Philadelphia real quick on Saturday, Philadelphia and the Penguins. Not much to talk about there. I mean, everybody was missing. Penguins played pretty well. They just couldn't score enough. And
The Flyers should have handedly won that game.
Yeah.
They did not.
Yeah. Yeah. Not an overly inspiring performance by the Flyers. I didn't think the Penguins were quite as good as they were on Friday.
But they were also down Brian Rust as well. I mean, you really can't,
Yeah, not much the Penguins could have done on Saturday, just given the fact that two of their top three producers were out of the lineup. But we don't need to spend a ton of time on the games. So 1-1 going into the break, no Crosby, no Malkin, no Rust for the second game. That's not too bad whenever you think about the situation they were in. But fast forwarding to yesterday. So we were talking about Anaheim at yesterday's Wilkes-Barre Scranton Hershey Bears game. Hershey Bears are the affiliate of the Washington Capitals. There were a lot
Calder Cup winners, by the way. They won last year and they won the year before that, both times against the Firebirds, the
Firemen.
Where's the Kraken affiliate from? It's
I just looked at this like
Coachella Valley.
Yes, correct. But yeah, this is a very good team, and it is worth noting that the Penguins absolutely embarrassed them a couple weeks ago. They beat them 9-0 on January 29th.
Yeah, they had 2 hat tricks and a shutout from Urshab.
Yeah, it was really entertaining over there. And they've actually been struggling as late. They were coming off a 5-0 loss going into their game against Wilkes-Barre. The game did end in controversy, so Wilkes-Barre kind of started off pretty rotten. And actually, Vasily Ponomarev, who was recalled for Saturday's game because the Penguins at the NHL level were shorthanded, he was ejected in the first period with the game misconduct for a board. So he didn't play most of the game. Things got messy in the first period. He was their first line center. They kind of had to put things together, but they came together and they mounted a late comeback. They scored with 53 seconds left. Mac Hollowell got his first of the season. Which, if you've been following,
30 assists. How is that his first?
Yeah, he had 25 assists.
Yeah.
Before that goal, and then he finally scored his first goal. So he's their leading scorer down there, and he didn't have a goal in the season, but he scores with 53 seconds left, and then with 2.2 seconds remaining. Now this is after Hershey already got an empty net goal, make it 5-3. So Penguins scored, make it 5-4. 2.2 seconds left. They think they get another goal. Boris Kachuk says it hits his arm on the way in. If people don't know, AHL doesn't have replay review. So basically, the refs convened. They decided that it was a high stick, no goal. Wilkes-Barre loses the game. So there was a little bit of controversy there over replay. Kirk McDonald, head coach of Wilkes-Barre, wasn't very happy about how the whole thing panned out. Because there's also this weird rule that not weird rule, I guess, if you think about the fact they don't have replay, but you can't show the replay on in the arena at all while the play is being reviewed or discussed. And I guess the arena staff over in Hershey Giant Center showed it about 6 times, which
Giant
violates
Center.
the rule.
It's a nice stadium. I've seen a couple concerts there. Nice place.
It is a nice place. But anyway, they kind of screwed over the Penguins anyway in that situation. So Pens lose the game. There was controversy. But also, there were a lot of scouts in attendance at that game. Keep in mind that this is the Four Nations break. Scouts don't have anything better to do. Yeah. I mean, they're not going to be going to Four Nations to watch the best players in the world. When a lot of executives are at these games anyway, and it's basically, a best on best tournament. So, this is kind of interesting because there were 2 scouts from Anaheim at this game, and one of them was the head of their scouting department. So I mean, like we said, it's kind of murky now at this point where their window is. And you look at some of the Caps prospects and Penguins prospects that could have been scouting. When I look at the Caps prospects, it's kind of I don't see anybody. Maybe Hendrix Lapierre, maybe, but like
One of
aside
the
from
greatest names in hockey, by the way.
yes,
I used to play like I don't remember which version of Chell it was, but it was like the slap shot one with Pee Wee to Pro. I would give
Mhm.
myself names like that. Hendrix Lapierre.
Yeah, what a name. Yeah, you're right.
He scored
Hendrix.
an incredible goal against the New York Rangers in the playoffs last year.
Hmm.
I, if I were the Washington Capitals, which I am not, would not give up on him.
Yeah, yeah, but
And
it
I
does. Go ahead.
certainly wouldn't trade him to Anaheim, where the poor boy's development will be gone. I mean, that's at this point, can we start saying that Anaheim is just as bad as the Rangers at developing players?
Yeah, I think
Can we
that's
say
valid.
that?
Yeah, yeah, and I mean you have to think about too. I mean, if you're Washington, I mean, there's a few guys on that roster you might be looking at. I mean, if they're really looking to make a splash, maybe McTavish, but I don't think Anaheim's willing to part with him.
Why would
Um,
Anaheim trade McTavish? And
that's
for who?
exactly what I'm saying.
Like
That's what I'm saying. Like
he's
I
the
don't
best of their
think,
prospects right now, probably
yeah,
in terms of
yeah,
how he's. It took him a little while because they botched his development and had
mhm,
no idea what to do with him. Took him a little while to adjust to the NHL level. Now he's finally putting it together, and if they trade him, that would be hilarious because
yeah, yeah, and I mean,
not for him.
really,
I mean, send him to the Caps. He'd probably thrive there. I'm big on Mason McTavish. I like Mason McTavish.
yeah, yeah,
I
and you
need
know
Mason
what?
McTavish out of Anaheim. Poor
Yeah,
guy.
it would be nice to see him go somewhere else where his
Where
development
he could
wouldn't be
actually
stunted, but
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, but it makes you wonder. I mean, they might be going after one of their young defensemen, who knows? But I just don't see any of these Caps prospects at the AHL level um, that really, I guess, match um, what they'd be looking for in Anaheim when
I
I'm
don't
looking
really
up and
see
down.
Penguins prospects at the AHL level that match what they're looking for in Anaheim either, though. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I
honestly,
think I could actually see it a little bit more with the Penguins.
who?
Um, Well, it depends on what the Penguins are looking for. Because if it's like a Trevor Zegras, absolutely not.
No one.
Um, you know,
Wouldn't even trade a third for him.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, if you're looking at some young defensemen, um,
On Anaheim, they don't have any.
I
They've got
mean,
Zellweger and they've got Minchikov, and that's it.
Menchikov, yeah,
That's it.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
they're not going to trade either of them because that's all they have.
yeah. That's all they have. But at the same time, it's just one of those things. Again, what this team doesn't look to be competitive anytime soon.
I think
You
they
know what
were
I
just
mean?
bored, wanted a good night of hockey, wanted to watch two teams that don't like each other beat each other up for 60 minutes, which is what happened. There were some fisticuffs.
Yeah.
Like a lot of fisticuffs.
There definitely were. And you know what? I mean, again, this I wouldn't read it into this too much anyway if you're a fan, because once again, the NHL's on break. These scouts are just going to be going to games to check out things. And also, and too, I mean, a team like Washington is going to be looking to add at the deadline. So,
Yeah.
it's not going to be unusual to see high numbers of scouts at games. I just found it a little bit unusual that there were two Anaheim scouts and their head of scouting there.
I really do, though, think that, like what you were saying, the Caps are going to add.
Yeah.
They're probably checking out the prospects to see if there's anything worth kicking the can on.
Yeah.
I don't think Penguins fans should really read into that
Hmm.
because, you know, the way I see it, the Penguins really only have a couple attractive prospects, and they're above what Anaheim. There's just a big gap there, between like Rutger McGroarty and Billy Koivunen and Vasily Ponomarev and like Trevor Zegras.
Hmm. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
see a lot of disparity there.
I do too. And you know what? I mean, it remains to be seen if the Penguins do target a young player. If I'm the
Honestly,
Penguins, I'm shooting higher than Trevor Zegras. I'm
I
not
think the
going after
Capitals are trying to
Trevor
get Trevor
Zegras.
Zegras, not because I actually
Yeah,
have any insider information on this
yeah,
or actually think this, but they had. I mean, TJ Oshie's hurt. They need another shootout specialist who's like okay in 65 minutes of play, and then you put him in the shootout, and he can score.
yeah, yeah. And I honestly, I mean, I don't think that'd be the worst landing spot for Trevor Zegras either.
Listen,
I good.
Spencer Carberry got something out of Pierre-Luc Dubois.
True.
Anyone can get anything out of Trevor Zegras. It's probably him. But if I were the Washington Capitals, I mean, you're doing so well, guys. Don't shoot yourselves in the foot.
Yeah, yeah, and that's kind of where I was getting at before. I just don't see them dealing, you know, I'm not going to say those guys at the AHL level that they have are untouchable, but they've got a good thing going with
Yeah.
their young prospect pool, with their young players.
They're like the step below untouchable.
Yeah, yeah. So unless you're getting someone much better than Trevor Zegras in return for one of those guys, it's
Don't even entertain it.
it's not worth it. So we'll see if anything comes of that, and we'll see what scouts, if any, show up at Pittsburgh's game against Hartford on Friday, Valentine's Day matchup. We do want to get to Four Nations talk because obviously that's the big talk of the week. That's the only thing going on this week in the world of the NHL. Unless you've been living under a rock, you do know that Sidney Crosby is going to be ready for tonight's game versus Sweden. So he is playing. Sigh of relief for all of Canada, for Penguins fans, whoever, that Sidney Crosby's playing. But yeah, we kind of want to get into some predictions and just, I mean, maybe if we want to do a little bit of talk about just the rosters and the lines and whatever first, then we can get into predictions.
When you say the lines, are you referring to just like the lines that the Penguins are on, or
no, just anything? I mean, I don't think this has to be a Penguin specific
foaming
thing.
at the mouth to watch Kyle Connor, Jack Eichel, and Matthew Tkachuk.
Oh yeah,
I think that is one of the most, on paper, beautiful lines ever created.
Mm-hmm.
That is a line that I am excited for. I mean, listen, I understand there won't be a ton of hard hits, so we won't see Matthew Tkachuk being Matthew Tkachuk. But we'll still see, 75% of Matthew Tkachuk, I would say, maybe 80%.
Yeah, I go 75, 80.
Because at the end of the day, he's a competitor. He wants to win. He's not just gonna go out there and Pierre-Luc Dubois in Columbus it. He's gonna go out there and he's gonna do his thing. And I'm really excited to see that line. I think that has a lot of potential to be a dynamic offensive line. I love the for Sweden. I love the Philip Forsberg, Elias Pettersson, Adrian Kempe line. Anyone who knows me knows that Adrian Kempe, in my book, he's the perfect hockey player. He can shoot, he can hit, he can make plays. He's a little dirty in front of the net. He's not afraid to muck it up. He's got a mean streak. Putting him with someone like Pettersson, I think it might wake Pettersson up.
Yeah.
I really think it might wake Pettersson up.
I agree. I like that line a lot too. And we can get into a little bit more of Team Sweden too. But in terms of another line I really like that Lehkonen, Barkov, Rantanen line too.
I was just about to say that too. Oh boy, that's going to be nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, just the playmaking ability of Barkov and the defensive, ability, they're going to really do some damage off the rush, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Lehkonen, he's got such a nice stick. He's so good at redirections. And Rantanen, I think he's just going to be full of, I mean, you saw that the news coming out a couple days ago about how the Hurricanes, they might move him again because if they don't think he's going to sign, they want to get something back from him. They are not going to shoot themselves in the foot and mortgage their future. I think he's going to come out with something to prove. He's going to be angry. He's going to be mean, and he's going to score a couple really nice ones.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as a side note, what an insane turn of events that will be, though.
Oh Lord, I know it. You remember a couple
If he
weeks
gets
ago
dealt.
when Miko Rankin got when people were like Miko Rankin might get traded, and we're like, that'd be crazy. Now he might get traded again.
Might get traded twice.
Wild.
Just insanity. Which, by the way, we should know too. Part of the reason I mentioned the scouts being at the AHL games is because, just as a note to those who might not know, there is not a trade freeze during Four Nations. So even though
Elliot
GMs, go ahead.
said that there's a feeling that a lot of players won't return to the teams that they're on, and that I understand what he was trying to say, but it did sound like he was going to take the teams were just going to take the players outside and old yeller them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you know what? Let's round it out. Let's get the fourth. We were talking about lines.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me you're not excited to see Sid play with Nate McKinnon.
Oh yeah.
Listen, people don't like this, but that's because they don't know hockey. Mark Stone is going to be the perfect contribution to that line.
I agree. I think he's going to be a really complimentary player there. I mean, a lot of people were hoping to see Marchand there, but you know what?
I get it. Marchand, he does a lot of similar things to what Mark Stone does, but this year Mark Stone's just doing them more effectively.
Yeah.
And especially with Sid's injury, you don't want him being the one to have to retrieve the pucks.
Mm-hmm.
You know who gets pucks?
Mark Stone.
Yeah. I saw that line. I saw the public outcry on Twitter, and I started chuckling to myself. I said, "Oh, these fools are gonna learn today. They're gonna learn."
Yeah. But man, I mean, I hope at some point now we're gonna see this on the power play. That Canadian power play is.
Would you be shocked if they went over 50% in the tournament?
I would not.
Yeah.
I would not. This might be one of the greatest power play
ever, right?
I've ever seen. I mean, that one with Gretzky, Lemieux, who else was on there? There was a really good power play back in the day in the Olympics.
This might be better.
Yeah.
McKinnon, McDavid, Crosby, Sam Reinhart, and Cale Makar.
Yeah. You know,
Lord Jesus.
Whew. And it's each guy is perfect for the role that they're going to be playing on that power play too. It's just going to be insane to watch. I mean, you got Crosby.
My TV is going to be on. The nations are going to be facing off. I'm going to be locked in, Kelsey.
Same here. And you know what? I mean, what I was getting to is that we're obviously going to see the, McKinnon, McDavid, Crosby connection on the power play. And I think we'll see a lot of that. But I mean, I kind of low-key hope at some point we get to see those three out together at 5-on-5. Could you just imagine, but McKinnon, McDavid just absolutely blowing by people, Crosby kind of being the guy that's, a little further back, kind of lurking, and with his playmaking ability and his smarts, that'd be unstoppable. But I mean,
listen,
it's not going to happen.
Why would Canada put all three of their best centers on one line?
No, I'm not saying they're going to put them on a line. That's not what I'm suggesting. I'm just saying, after a penalty kill or something, after just kind of like the Penguins, how they load up after penalty kills. I just want to see them load up a couple times. Not on paper, but just, put all the big guns out once or twice. See what happens.
I think it's going to be very exciting if Canada is in a situation where they have to pull the goaltender for an extra attack.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's going to be something.
Who's the extra attacker, you think?
Ooh, if he's in, maybe somebody like Sam Bennett.
Yeah, I can see
that. If he's not in, I'd put Braden Point.
Okay. Yeah,
maybe Brandon Hagel.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
similar in terms of clutchness, in terms of hands.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm still kind of inclined to go with Mark Stone.
Sure. Listen. If you want to hype up, listen. I was just not gonna say that because I don't want to be accused of bias. But yeah, I think Mark's gonna fit just fine on that line.
Yeah.
While we're on the subject of power plays, do you mind if I kvetch about Swedens?
Yeah, let's go back to Sweden. I know we
Oh my
wanted to
god,
talk about
Kelsey,
this.
let me just click into the power play right now. This is not good. So on their first power play unit, right? They've got
Mm-hmm.
Victor Hedman quarterbacking it. That's good. If you don't have Eric Carlson on your roster.
Yeah.
They've
Don't
got Lucas
understand that.
Raymond. I like Lucas Raymond. I wouldn't put him on the first power play unit. They've got Mika Zibanejad. I wouldn't put him on the first power play unit. They've
I
got
wouldn't put
Willie
him on the
Nylander.
second.
I absolutely would put him on the first power play
Yeah.
unit. He's Willie Nylander. They've got Joel Eriksson Ek, who I actually would understand putting on the first power play unit just because
Mhm.
of what he does in front of the net.
Yeah.
But like Philip Forsberg, not on the first power play unit.
Yeah. Insanity.
You've got on the set. I mean, the second power play unit is honestly, it should be their first. It's
Yeah.
Carter Cal, Elias Pettersson, Jesper Bratt, Philip Forsberg, and Eric Carlson. I would maybe for a first power play unit swap Bratt for Nylander.
Yeah. That's the only change I'd make, probably.
Yeah, it blows my mind that Adrian Kempe is not on either unit, especially when you've got Zibanejad on that top unit. And at the end of the day, if you really need a center on that unit, you've already got Joel Eriksson Ek.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of decisions.
Yeah. I mean, literally the only thing I can think of is face-offs. But I mean, in the grand
Eriksson
scheme of
Ek is pretty
things,
good at face-offs.
that's what I was just gonna say. Like Eriksson
I
Ek's
can't
good
tell
at
you his stats
face-offs.
right off the off the top of my head compared
Yeah.
to Zibanejad's, but
yeah, that's the only thing I can think of. But at the end of the day, like, I mean, just look at Canada. Like, you gotta have your
Yeah.
5 best players out there in a best
Yeah.
on best tournament, because guess what? I mean, you're playing Finland, especially like a team like that with the PK they're gonna have. You're not gonna get anything past them if you don't have your 5 best players out there. You know,
I mean, listen, Canada's second power play unit is better than Sweden's first power play unit.
Yeah. I agree.
Like, honestly, the Finland power play unit might be kind of nasty.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a sleeper. I mean, honestly, I think all the power taking out Sweden's first power play unit.
Other than Sweden, all the power plays.
All the power plays are pretty nasty. I mean, I don't think anything's going to top Canada's. But Finland's kind of a sleeper. I think with the power play, and I mean, in terms of the tournament as a whole, I would argue that they're probably the weakest link, but they still got some power for that unit. And like I said, I'm actually kind of more curious to see their PK unit.
I mean, it's going to be dangerous. You got Sebastian Aho, who's always a threat to score shorthanded. You got Barkov, who's always a threat to score shorthanded. Yep. Like, come on.
Yeah.
You've got Anton Lundell and Eetu Luosterainen. Both, like I said, like I was saying, threats to score shorthanded. I'm actually very excited for Anton Lundell to get to show off who he is on a national stage.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't appreciate who he is as a player and what he's molding into, and I'm very gung ho on Anton Lundell, and I'm excited to see what he can do.
Yeah.
Especially when I think he's the second center on the depth chart, isn't he? I mean, let me verify that real quick.
Yeah, I'm looking.
Oh no, okay, that's right. They've got
Aho's second line center.
For some reason, I thought Aho was on the top line.
Yeah, so I think like their lines have shifted around. Yeah.
Holy crap.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I think there's
Aho, Lundell, Howla. Their wing? Ew, they could use they're a little weak on the wing outside of that top line. They've got Rupe Hintz playing on the wing, which I'm interested to see how that'll work.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why, I mean, I just don't think Finland has the forward unit
They don't.
to really make some. They don't have, I mean, honestly, their defensive unit is kind of the same thing. I think it's
Yeah,
pretty top
their
heavy.
defensive unit would have been a
But
lot better with Miro Heiskanen,
yeah,
obviously. But
absolutely.
goaltending, they could be better than Canada at least. I mean, not
Yeah.
saying a ton, but
Yeah. And I think that's what's going to be so interesting about this tournament
yeah.
because, I mean, I still think if you're looking at overall rosters, all around rosters, I think USA and Sweden probably have a little bit more of everything because they have the goaltending,
I
which, isn't something that Canada has. But it is really, really hard to ignore that forward unit that Canada has. Just
let
just
me
insane talent up and
let
down.
me draw some comparisons real quick.
Go for it.
Think about this Four Nations face-off in terms of Western Conference teams.
Hmm.
Canada is obviously the Oilers. They're very good up front, but the back end, other than Cale Makar, isn't as good as you think it is.
Yeah, back end's lacking.
Yeah. And obviously in goal, there's not much going on there.
No.
Jordan Bennington will get the start tonight. So you compare Canada to the Oilers. I would compare Team USA to the Jets
Hmm.
because they should, but will they get it done or will they flame out? Will it be too much?
Yeah,
I would
it'll
compare
be interesting
Finland.
to see how it meshes.
Go right ahead. I would compare Finland to the Los Angeles Kings. They're there. They'll be tough, but I don't think they've got enough going on to give you fits. Um, but I mean, I think their defensive system will be a lot like LA's. I mean, when Drew
Yeah,
Doughty was out, LA's defense was one that had Joel Edmondson and like Andreas Englund and Kyle Burrows on the back end, and they're still, third in the Pacific, and they've got like a 17-2-1 record at home or something ridiculous.
yeah.
And then you've got Sweden. And Sweden's tough to place.
I'd say maybe Dallas.
I would also say kind of
I'd
Dallas
say
because they've got
Dallas.
goaltending, they've got the forwards, they've
Hmm.
got the defense, they've got the special teams.
I think they're honestly.
If, if
I think
Sweden
they're
would
a
just
very
stop
well-rounded
shooting
team.
themselves in the foot, they could win the whole thing.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
Sweden's my dark horse to win that. I said that before I saw their power play units. I'm reconsidering it, but I guess I still have to stick with my guns. I think Sweden knocks off Canada tonight in an upset. I think it doesn't matter what kind of game it'll be. I think if it's high scoring, it'll benefit Sweden because they'll get more saves out of Gustafsson than Canada will out of Binnington, I'm betting. If it's a low scoring game, that actually also might favor Sweden. I
yeah.
think
See,
Sweden pulls off an upset tonight.
okay, okay. I have Canada winning tonight, but I think it's going to be a higher scoring affair.
Lord, I hope so. 6-5 in overtime. Jesus, if
Yeah.
you're listening.
Yeah, I just think, I would agree with you on the lower scoring end of things. If it's a lower scoring game, I think that definitely favors Sweden. Think they have a lot more defensive structure. They have the goaltending. Um, I just think if it's a high scoring affair, though, and you're getting into like a run and gun game, it's going to be really hard to combat that top six for Canada.
And the bottom
For
six,
Sweden.
honestly. I mean,
Yeah,
you've got
well, yeah,
Sam Bennett as the extra forward.
yeah,
But, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, Sweden's defense is better than Canada's. Sweden's
absolutely.
goaltending is better than Canada's. So if it comes down to
Yeah,
getting one save or one defensive play, I think Sweden has the edge.
yeah.
That's
I
my
think it
thing.
could go either way. I think it could go either way. But
One more
yeah,
thing while we're
go
on the
ahead.
topic of Sweden.
Go for it.
I would like them to win this tournament. I would like them to win this tournament so that people stop talking about Erik Karlsson. Elliot Friedman said on his 32 Thoughts podcast about Erik Karlsson that he's focused on winning in Pittsburgh, but he's movable. That's not news. He said the same thing a couple weeks ago. We talked about it then. But mind if I talk really quick?
Please, because I want to hear your thoughts on this. Probably similar to mine.
The term career loser. I think it's stupid. Right now, Connor McDavid is also a career loser. If we're using those same exact terms, I mean, they've both got individual hardware, but no Stanley Cups. I think that's dumb. Henrik Lundqvist, career loser. I mean, how many greats that are considered greats finished without the cup? Jumbo Joe. I think it's dumb, Kelsey. I think it's a stupid term. And I think you would think that Pittsburgh Penguins fans, who have seen so much talent come through their city for the past 15 to 20 years, would recognize talent. You would think.
Yeah.
You would think.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't really care if the Penguins win another game, ever. But I would like Erik Karlsson to leave the Pittsburgh Penguins. Not because of the reasons the Penguins fans do, but because I want Erik Karlsson to win a cup. Erik Karlsson was one of the best offensive defensemen, maybe the best, of the 2010s. And if he retires without a cup, that's going to be a tragedy on the level of Lundqvist.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The way people talk about Erik Karlsson, you would think that he's like Marc-Edouard Vlasic levels of highly paid and just out there. I hope he gets traded and I hope he wins a cup. And that's all I'm going to say there.
Yeah. I mean, go ahead. Sorry.
I just think it's dumb. I really think people... There's this weird sense of like loyalty, like, well, we like Sid and Gino and Letang, so we have to hate Erik Karlsson. Okay, you can, but if you're gonna stand there and try to pretend that he's not good at hockey, I'm going to think that you're either trolling or you're a child and that your frontal cortex is not yet developed. Or I'm going to think that you just don't know hockey.
Yeah. Yeah, and just to comment on that real quick too. You know, it is a little frustrating to hear those narratives sometimes too, because you see things like people keep saying like locker room cancer and et cetera.
Yeah, I was thinking, yeah, I almost included that. But, you know, I can't really, I mean, we can't really weigh in on that. We don't know if someone is or isn't, but I feel like that they're throwing that in just like they're throwing around career loser. It's like,
they're throwing that in, but this is what I can say just from being around the locker room. And obviously we don't know what happens behind closed doors. We're reporters. It's like that for a reason. But this guy is well liked. He's well respected in the locker room. And people were griping about him getting the extra A when there were like 5 players missing.
Yeah, when there were like 5 players that have played 10 NHL games.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
Listen, guys, this guy, first of all, I mean, this isn't his first rodeo with being an assistant captain at Team Sweden.
I mean, he was the captain in Ottawa.
Yeah. And you know, this whole career loser stuff, like, it is so hard to win in this league. And if you watch the 2017 playoffs, Erik Karlsson's 2017 playoffs, and you want to try to tell me he's a career loser.
On one ankle, by the way. On one ankle.
Yes, on one ankle. That guy is the reason that Ottawa got to the point that it did. That Ottawa almost beat Pittsburgh in 7 games in double overtime because he was far and away the best player in that series. And I don't even, it's not close.
And not just the best player on the Senators, the best player in that series.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and I don't think that's a question. So this whole career loser stuff, like Jerome McGinley never won a cup. Joe Thornton never won a cup. You know, as you mentioned, Hank never won a cup. There are so many players, great players throughout the annals of NHL history that have never won a cup. That doesn't mean they're not good leaders. That doesn't mean they're not respected in the room. That doesn't mean they're locker room cancers. That doesn't mean they're career losers.
No, it doesn't.
It just means it's hard to win in this league, guys. Yeah. And
this isn't the NBA. You can't really like buy a championship.
No.
This is the hardest trophy in sports to win.
Yeah.
It's a team game.
It is.
I mean, listen. Do you remember in 20 I think it was the year that the Avalanche won the cup. Do you remember what Draisaitl did that playoffs?
I sure do. I sure do. That was unbelievable.
Yeah, you don't. That's similar to what Erik Karlsson did, except that Erik Karlsson didn't have Connor McDavid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You don't see people calling Draisaitl a career loser. Pissy, maybe, but not a career loser.
Good stuff. But yeah, it's just that. Listen,
I just think it's a dumb narrative, and I don't care. So I wanted to share what I thought about that.
Well, I share the same thoughts. And, I think the crazy thing is, when you point this stuff out on social media or wherever on this podcast, us just pointing it out, I'm sure we're going to get the army of whatever they want to call themselves, Karlsson haters, the brigade to run him out of town. Like, listen.
I'm in that brigade, but for an entirely different reason. It's because I think his talents are wasted here.
Yeah, and I don't think that's the fault of I could argue that the Penguin system is holding him back a little bit, but
no, it is.
It's
They've neutered him.
Yeah. But I mean, at the end of the day, we talked about this a little bit last week. I don't know what people expected. Like I kind of said this. If you expecting Erik Karlsson to be good defensively, and then being surprised when he isn't.
Yeah, you've clearly never seen Erik Karlsson play hockey, which means your opinion is invalid to me.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm
same
really
thing with
cranky
100
today. I don't know why. I woke up from my nap and I just wasn't as rested as I wanted to be, and I was like, I'm gonna say some mean things about the Penguins.
No, it's all good. I mean, I'm not necessarily in the camp of run him out of town quite yet, but I am in the camp of I want to see him win a cup. So if that's what it takes to make him win a cup, I want to see that for him. He's a generational defenseman. He's going to go down as an all-time great talent. Guys, just appreciate talent. It doesn't have to be one of the big three.
It doesn't have to be a competition. It doesn't have to be one or the other. You can just appreciate all of the talent. That's okay.
Absolutely.
You can do that.
Yeah, we don't have to always pit people against,
Yeah.
There are 3 guys that have been here for a long time, but that doesn't mean nobody else is invited to sit at the lunch table.
Yeah, I mean, especially since if you're talking about recent play and you're so gung-ho about Karlsson is not playing well, oh my God, look in the mirror. Take off the rose-colored glasses. I'm going to stop there, but...
I know what you mean. I know what you're referring to, where you were going with that.
I'm going a lot of ways, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean...
Well... there's a lot I want to say too, but I'm gonna cut myself off before it gets.
It's just unwise for us to keep going about this.
Yeah. So anyway,
it's just not smart. We'll do that on Pucks and At After Dark.
Yeah.
You can pay extra for that.
After Dark. Yeah, maybe we should do a paid subscription for that. But
you pay extra for that. It's us sitting in a dark room. We're painting each other's nails, and we're just gossiping and
watching Wild Card Kitchen.
It's great. Yeah, I'm burning down the kitchen.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so I do want to get some predictions for Four Nations in before we sign off here. So, I have a couple things. So I just have predictions for each Pens player.
Me too.
And I also just have the overall winner in the championship game as well as the leading scorer. So as far as the overall winner, I'm going to be generic here, but I do have USA over Canada. And I think it's going to go to overtime.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm spicing it up. I'm going to say it's a 5-4 overtime win. I think Canada is going to be it.
I want to be from that reality, Kelsey.
Listen, Canada's power play is lethal. It's not going to be easy to get anything past Connor Hellebuck. But I think Canada's going to figure it out with that power play unit, some of their firepower. But ultimately, goaltending, defense, overall roster construction is going to prevail. USA is
100%.
going to win 5-4 in overtime in the championship game. As for the leading scorer in the tournament, I have Nathan McKinnon.
Okay.
I think him and Crosby are just going to be magic together. He's going to do great on the power play. I have him at 3 goals, 5 assists, 8 points in 4 games.
Okay.
And then as far as Crosby, being that he'll be next to McKinnon, he'll be on that power play. I think he's going to have a pretty decent tournament. Given the uncertainty around his injury status and everything, I don't see him shooting the puck a whole lot. No. But I have him with 1 goal, 4 assists, 5 points over 4 games.
I had 1, 5, and 6.
Okay. So there we go. So I have 1, 4, and 5. For Carlson, I have no goals, 3 assists, 3 points in 3 games.
I have no goals, 4 assists.
See, we're
I basically just said,
like...
you know what, Kelsey? I'm tapped in, but I think. No, honest to God, I have this written down. Honest to God,
I do too. It's all right here. But and then finally, I think Rickard Rakell is going to have a really good tournament. Not because he's next to Mika Zibanejad, but because he's playing with William Nylander. And he's also going to see time on that second power play unit. I think if Zibanejad's smart, he's going to be deferring to Nylander and Rakell a whole lot.
What's the stat line? I'm so
curious. I have 2, 2, and 4. I have 2, 2, and 4 for Rakell. 2 goals, 2 assists. You were just 1 point more for each player.
Because, like you said, I think he's going to be the guy that's scoring. And also, I think the gold medal game, whatever, is going to be USA over Sweden.
All right.
I think the tournament leading scorer. Whoa, I didn't come into this one with a prediction, but I think it's going to be someone from Team USA. You know what? Whatever.
Go for it.
I'm gonna say it's one of the Jacks, Hughes or Eichel.
Okay.
Because you know Eichel, you got him on that line with Kachuk and Kyle Connor, like I was talking about. Jack Hughes, he's playing the wing, so he won't have as many defensive responsibilities. He's taken a step back offensively this year because he's been prioritizing defense in his game. He's been doing it very well, might I add. Like he's playing defense. He's on the penalty kill. It's kind of nasty, but he's on that line with Austin Matthews and Jake Gensel. Like, come on, Kelsey, that could be like
nasty.
Yeah. So I think it's one of the Jacks. I'm not committing hard, but I do think it's going to be Hughes. I think Jack Hughes will be the leading scorer. This is going to be so funny when, like, he goes out and lays an egg.
Same with McKinnon.
Yeah, sure. No. I'm honestly really excited. I'm really excited, Kelsey. I know it's like kind of a dumb tournament, and in the terms of like it's not the Olympics and it's not the World Cup of hockey and it's not like the IIHF or anything. But this is the closest to best on best hockey we've had in a long, long time, and I'm really excited to see some of these line combinations. Like I was kind of apathetic at best. Like on Sunday, I was talking to people about it. They were like, "Well, you know, the Four Nations tournament." I was like, "Oh my god, I'll watch it if there's nothing better on." And now I'm like, "Oh man!"
Now that it's here,
I'm all tuned in to watch.
Yeah,
to watch the fourth line of Dylan Larkin, Brock Nelson, and Vinny Trocheck. Like that's how it is.
Yeah, and I just want to say too. I mean, this is the first international play we've had since 2016.
Yeah.
I mean, that is almost 10 years. That is way too long. Erik Karlsson said the same thing, like right before they went on the trip. He was like, "It's just been too long."
Preach.
And you know what? I mean, the guys are so excited for this. I think people are kind of like underscoring this as an all-star game, but it's not going to be that. I don't think because these guys really.
I agree. There won't be as many hard hits.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
it won't be a super hard hitting game. You know, Matthew Tkachuk's not going to lay out Barkov. But if you think that these players aren't going to go out there and try to win for 60 minutes.
Yeah.
This isn't the Pro Bowl game, guys. This isn't the Pro Bowl game.
And a lot of people are saying this doesn't matter, but I don't necessarily think that's true.
I mean, it doesn't.
Because the thing is, I mean, a lot of the management groups, a lot of the coaching staff are the same for the 2026 Olympics. So in a lot of ways, I mean, this tournament is probably kind of a tryout for a lot of guys for the Olympic roster next year. Like, these guys care.
I think a lot of the guys that are like fringe, like, you know, they're kind of overperforming right now, or they're having their moment in the sun or whatever. You know, the ones that probably won't get the call for the Olympics. You know, I'm thinking about them, and I'm thinking that they're going to go out and they're going to be the ones that are really giving it their all.
Yeah.
And especially players like Ricard Raquel, who got that call in injury.
Yeah.
You know, Raquel, Jake Sanderson for Team USA. Drew Doughty. Drew Doughty. Well, I mean, Drew Doughty's been like campaigning to do this since before he even started playing after injury, which, like, I think that's kind of cool. You know, he was out there like, I know I'm kind of a long shot, but please tap me in. I think that was kind of cool. So, you know, I mean, just because of his age, he probably won't be on the Olympic roster next year. I mean, he might. There have been crazier things that have happened, but, you know, players like that, players that might not make it to the Olympics next year in terms of age or potential injury or anything like that, I think those are going to be the guys that are going to go out and they're going to give it 110%. And I think this is going to be a lot better than people think it's going to be.
I think so too. And I just think that that's kind of the reason I said the All-Star game thing, because I think people should get that out of their heads. This is kind of a completely new thing. And like I said, I mean, I think there are some implications for, like you said, those fringe players for the Olympic roster next season. You know, Mike Sullivan, for example, is the head coach of the Olympics for 2026. Kyle Dubas has the same position as president of player personnel for, you know, the Olympics as well in 2026 for Canada. And that's the same for a lot of these staffs. Like, a lot of these staffs are the same. So they're probably using this tournament as kind of a measuring stick as well. So just something to think about. I mean, I don't think this is completely just a throwaway thing. I think this is going to have meaning for guys. I think guys are going to go out and compete hard. And just in talking to the Penguins players about this, I mean, I could have told you, I had no doubt that Sid was going to play in this tournament. Like, I know there was a lot of discourse out there, but the thing is, like, you cannot underestimate how much playing for Team Canada means to Sidney Crosby, and especially captaining Team Canada. I mean, everybody knows that he's a humble guy, that this is something he really cares about. And you probably would have had to, like, amputate a leg for him to not play in this tournament. I mean, it was just, unless somebody told him, you know, absolutely not, he was going to play in this tournament. Yeah. So, you know, and same thing. I mean, it's good to see Erik Karlsson back in that leadership group. And honestly, too, with Raquel, this is kind of, I think, speaks to how much this means to guys. You know, when Ricard Raquel wasn't selected initially, he wasn't very happy about it. I mean, he kind of expressed a lot of disappointment in not being named to the initial roster. And he said that he thought that he did enough to be named to the initial roster. So when he wasn't, we saw the terror he went on. And he kind of played angry. So like Hannah said, for a guy like that is kind of in a position to prove himself, I think you're going to see these guys play really hard. And it's going to be very, very entertaining.
That's why I gave him that 3-2-5 stat line. I mean,
hey, I like it.
Like, he might be Sweden's leading scorer. I don't know.
You know, interestingly enough, I did write down leading scorers for each team. I didn't know how.
Oh, let's say who'd you have
did.
as Canada's leading scorer? Obviously, you
Well, I had McKinnon, yeah, for
Who'd you have as USA?
Canada. USA, I did have Matthew Tkachuk. I have him
Okay.
2 goals, 4 points, or 4 assists, 6 points.
Okay.
I kind of kept the scoring low. I'm probably
kept
doing
the scoring
low
high.
estimates.
I mean, especially if they're playing Team Canada for a game. And
Yeah.
Finland's been pretty rocky too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, these are low estimates. And then Adrian Kempe I had for Sweden.
Oh yeah, Kelsey.
I had him at
All right, Kelsey. What favor do you need?
4 goals, 2 assists, 6 points. For Finland, I did have Barkov. I have him at 1
Oh yeah,
goal, 4
I feel
assists.
like it's gonna be Barkov. Barkov's gonna be the guy. If Finland does anything in this tournament, it's gonna be on Barkov's back.
Oh, absolutely. What do you have? Or I don't know if you have anything written down, but what would
I
you
didn't.
predict?
But I think probably for Sweden, it's going to be either Forsberg or Raquel.
Okay.
Honestly, maybe Elias Pettersson wakes up and goes on a tear. I can see that happening. I mean, I can also see it not happening, but it wouldn't totally shock me. In terms of USA, well, Jack Hughes is my leading scorer for the tournament, so I'm going to say Jack Hughes. What the heck? I'll say 2 goals, 5 assists, maybe.
Okay.
And then for Canada, you know what? Let me go off the beaten path. Sammy Reinhart.
I like it.
Listen, he's going to be dangerous on the power play. He's going to be dangerous shorthanded. He's Sam Reinhart. He's dangerous.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be their leading goal scorer at the very least.
Okay.
If he's not the leading point scorer, I think it'll probably be McKinnon, like you said. For Sweden, I think it's probably Raquel or Forsberg. I think I said that. For Finland, Barkov. Yeah.
And then USA Hughes.
Well, Hughes, because I think he's going to lead the tournament in scoring. Yeah.
Yeah. And just I want to say this real quick about Reinhardt too. I mean, this is not a knock on him at all, but you just think about his breakout and just where he was a few years ago. Like if you would have told Sam Reinhart circa 2021-ish that he was going to be on a first power play unit.
All right, hold on. Let's actually go back to 2019. He was still in Buffalo in 2019.
Yeah, right? let's go with that. Yeah.
Right, so let's sit Sammy down. Tell him, Sammy, you're going to score 57 goals one year, and then you're going to go on and you're going to win the Stanley Cup. You're going to score the Stanley Cup winning goal and the first goal of the playoffs as well. And then the next year after that, you're going to be on pace to hit 50 goals again. Like half of your goals are going to come shorthanded because that's just how you roll now. That was a joke, but he really is crazy shorthanded.
Yeah.
Also, you're going to be selected to Team Canada. It's not the Olympics, but it's kind of like it. And you're going to be on the first power play unit with McKinnon and Crosby and McDavid and Makar.
Yeah.
And then you're also going to play on the first line with McDavid.
Marner.
Is it Marner?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
little Sammy had no idea back in 2019 this is where he would be. Kudos to Sam Reinhart.
Honestly,
heck of a player.
I mean, especially I love really loving about this tournament. Like, did you see that story about Brandon Hagel the other day? How he almost like quit hockey at age 20.
Yeah.
And now he's representing Team Canada. Just stories like that. I love hearing stories like that. Especially with guys like Brandon Hagel who have really turned into like something special.
Yeah.
Like he was an impressive late round fantasy pickup for me. So thanks for giving it your all every night, Brandon. you're really keeping me from the punishment.
Yeah. My fantasy team has been picking up lately.
My fantasy team is cooking. In one league, I've already made the playoffs because 2 teams are so bad.
I just had a lot of injuries at the beginning of the year, but
me too. And I only have 1 IR spot, which is like
See, we have 3 in our league, so
oh my god.
Yeah,
That's
that
a
helps a
luxury.
lot. It helps a
You know what,
lot.
Kelsey? Next week, let's go through our fantasy lineups and we'll talk about that. We'll fill the
Yeah,
time with
let's.
that.
I do just want to say I have no idea how I managed to do this. I definitely have the best decor in our league. I have
Oh,
no
let's hear it.
idea. No, I have no idea how I managed to
I'll pull mine
draft
up as well.
Kale McCarr, Quinn Hughes, and Miro Heiskanen. I have
Oh,
all
wow.
three of them somehow because the way that they worked, like the rankings worked in ESPN, like Quinn Hughes and Heiskanen were like buried, and everybody else like that was drafting, we have a snake
Yeah, they
draft.
were. Heiskanen
They
was
were
so low.
buried,
Yeah.
and I was just like, and I was looking at the top. I was like, where the hell are these guys? And I'm looking
You
at
had to
it.
search.
I had the last pick in the draft this year, so and it was a snake draft, so I had 2 consecutive picks. I was like, well, I gotta get like McCarr and Hughes here, so
So
here I am.
I've
But
got
go
Quinn
ahead,
Hughes,
sorry.
Evan Bouchard, Miro Heiskanen,
That's solid.
and Jacob Chikrin.
Nice.
Yeah.
I didn't finish out mine, but I have Quinn Hughes, Kale McCarr, Mara Heiskanen, and well, right now I have Bowen Byram and Aaron Ekblad
I have
and
Owen
Brady
Power.
Shea, but I'm obviously gonna have to drop one of them once Heiskanen comes off IR, so we'll see. But I'm pretty happy with my decor. My forward unit is a little bit disappointing, and that was the result of drafting solo, but you know, I've been kind of tweaking it as the year's gone along and going with the highs and lows of the season. But I will say though, my brother selected one spot before me, and he meant to select Matthew Tkachuk, but he selected Brady Tkachuk, and then he was like kicking himself afterwards. I was like, "Well, thank you very much." So
I'll take Matt.
but anyway, yeah, we can talk fantasy next week. Next week's probably going to be a little bit of a different kind of episode, since there's
We'll have
obviously
probably no Penguins news.
yeah. I mean, we'll probably just talk 4 nations, and then
Yeah.
maybe we can talk some fantasy stuff. And then we might just do like a quick shoot around the league, just to see where everybody's
If
at.
there's
Maybe
anything
some
going on,
standings. Yeah,
which there
we
might
can.
not be.
Very, very possible. We could do some standings predictions, maybe just some, predictions for the rest of the season, trade
Talk about our
deadline
favorite
predictions,
movies. Like
talk about the Food Network more,
yeah, honestly, we could rank our favorite cooking shows.
Let's put it in a survey. Let's see what people want to hear about.
Yeah, survey says next week when there's nothing going on, what do you want the filler talk to be?
Yeah.
You want it to be talks of burning down the kitchen? Do you want movies? Do you want music? Send it.
Send it to us. Let us know. Oh, Hannah, I did forget to ask you what is your final score prediction for the final game
Tonight? Oh, the final game.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't even know. What did I say? USA over Sweden?
Sweden, yeah.
I feel like that would probably be a low-scoring game. I'm gonna say 3-2.
Okay, I like it. No
In
overtime for
overtime.
you. Oh, you're
like
going
overtime.
overtime too.
I like overtime.
Love it. Love it. All right.
Just especially with the way that the league really wants this, I think they'll maybe call a couple ticky-tack plays at the end, and they'll try to get it to overtime if it's close enough.
Yeah. Marketability.
Yeah. I think overtime, I'm going to say 3-2 USA over Sweden.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to say Matthew Tkachuk scores the overtime 4 Nations face-off winning goal.
Okay. I didn't put a prediction there.
I just pulled that off the top of my head because he just, I mean,
like
think about all the clutch overtime goals he scored with Florida in their first run.
Yeah. I have to think about that. I didn't think about who's going to score the overtime goal. Hold on. I'm going to say a defenseman's going to do it.
Whoa!
I'm going to go off the beaten path here.
Zach Werenski?
Let me think.
Mike Sullivan's son-in-law, Charlie McAvoy?
Oh, that would be something.
That would be something.
You know what? Let's go McAvoy. Let's go McAvoy. Let's go like a weird.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's go random pick. I'm gonna go McAvoy, and him and Sully will lift the trophy together and ride off into the sunset. But all right, guys. Well, if there's nothing else from you, or are you good? for today.
Kelsey, there's nothing else to review. I mean,
we could talk for hours about Food Network and Four Nations. But yeah,
I'm excited. Oh, Kelsey, an hour and 15 minutes, and then the Four Nations will finally be facing off.
Yeah, well, we got to get this out there, and also, I hope there's an overtime. In the final game, I hope there's overtime.
It's gonna be a blowout. It's gonna be 5-1, and we're gonna look so dumb.
Yeah. I mean, I just hope it's exciting. I hope it's as good for the league as
as we all want it to be,
and we all want it to be.
Yeah.
Sidney Crosby hasn't been saying Four Nations facing off for nothing for months.
Have you seen the edit? And it's just 60 minutes of him
saying
Four Nations facing off.
I shared it. It's wonderful.
Did you show that to him? I want to know what he has to say about that.
I will write that on my list. That's the first thing.
Like, oh geez.
When they come back.
Oh wow.
That would probably be his exact reaction, actually. He'd say like, oh geez. Yeah, I could see that. Well, Sid, if you happen to be listening, I'm sure you're not, but I'll ask you that right after the break.
Sid, how many nations are there and what are they doing?
Can you clarify that for us?
Four nations facing off. For what? For friend and foe.
Oh, there's Zuko.
And there's Zuko.
I guess that means he's ready for me to call it a day.
To go face off against nations.
Yes. Well, I do want to get this out before Four Nations commence. Zuko, stop! Oh my God.
He's not listening.
He's not. Well, my dog's barking in the background.
Zuko's excited for the Four Nations to face off. Oh, Zuko's chiming in. He says Team Finland will win 3-1 over
I don't know
Canada.
about that, Zook.
3-1 over Canada.
If Finland were to get there, it would be like a 2-1 or 3-1 game, but we'll see. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, guys. We cut it down by like 20 minutes today, so it's a start.
Because we didn't have anything to talk about, so we just talked about cooking channels and Four Nations facing off.
Let's do this again. But as a reminder, Kelsey Surmat's of the Hockey News and co-host
Vegas Hockey Now.
Absolutely. And you can find the Pucks and At podcast on X at Pucks_Nat_pod. I forgot where I was for a second.
Just search Pucks and At, it'll come up. I mean,
or search us. We tweet about it all the time on Wednesdays. So get into ridiculous little quarrels. But anyway, so yeah, check us out. Once again, if you haven't already, subscribe, like, share, watch, share with your parents, your significant other, share with your dog. I don't really care. Just
ask your dog if Team Finland's winning at all.
Yeah, and see if they agree with Zuko.
This might be like some insider information.
Yeah.
I think Finland's like plus 550 to win the tourney or something. So that'd be a wild investment.
I'm gonna get Zuko on that money line.
You should. Zuko might become a millionaire.
He might. I need it. I pay his rent.
You know what? He doesn't pay rent. So go throw a couple bucks on his pick. Finland 3-1 over Canada in the final.
All he does is eat, sleep,
and need to go on walks.
That's all he does. He doesn't pay rent. He doesn't contribute. He doesn't work. Anyway, so Zuko's money line. All right.
Money line. Oh man, I am so interested to know what the odds would be like on Zuko's money line.
It'd be chaotic. That's all I can tell you.
It'd be a high ROI, I think.
It would be. But anyway, turning aside dogs, money lines, whatever.
Anyone curious? I'm gonna try to pull that up right now and see how close I can get to the Zuko money line.
Please do. Just to throw this out there too, like I'm not in on sports betting. I have actually never done it, but so you're probably a little bit more of an expert on this than I am.
Finland to defeat Canada as the exact result with no scores is plus 2,300.
Hey.
So I think that turns $1 into 230.
All right.
No, $1 into $23. $10 into 230. So
well, we might be getting in on some of that action.
What the heck? We'll throw $2 on it and see what happens.
All right. Well, thanks again for tuning in, guys. We really appreciate it. We'll be back at you next Wednesday. In the meantime, kick back, take in some Four Nations facing off action.
What are they doing, Kelsey?
I don't know. I might need to check again. Let's check with Sid.
Sid!
We need you, Sid. But be glad you don't have to hear the commercial anymore, and that you can just watch some good hockey. So enjoy your week, guys.
That's a bright spot I didn't even think about. Thank you for pointing that out, Kelsey.
Yeah. Now we actually just get to see it in action. But
we get to see the Four Nations
facing up. All right, guys. Have a good week. Enjoy the international hockey. We'll be back at you next week. Obviously, barring any major trades on Friday.
If there are any major trades, we'll drop another emergency pod.
Yeah,
we got you.
We gotcha. All right, guys. Stay out of trouble in that.